Hello, and welcome to our quick video guide on making a comment to the Environmental Protection Agency, otherwise known as the EPA. And just as a heads up, I'm going to be referring to it as the EPA throughout the session. So just to give you that little reminder that that's what it means. So in this quick guide, we're going to be walking you through the process of submitting a comment through a variety of methods. So, online, through email, and through actual, physical mail. So you have a lot of different options here. And I just want to emphasize before we get started that your feedback plays a critical role in shaping the regulations that impact our environment, our communities on both the federal and state level. So let's dive in and learn how to make your voice heard. So to start, I am on the Federal Register website, and don't worry, we're going to provide you a link to this. We're going to provide you a link to all three of the rules that we are hoping you comment on today. And if you look at this long title, it is a little overwhelming, but it is essentially the clean cars rule that we're looking at right now. This is one of the three rules that we'd love for you to make a comment on today. And I thought that it would be a really good example since we're hoping that you do it later on. So here I am on the Federal Register website. And just as a heads up, if you have any questions, please write them down and we will have time later on to answer them. So just as a heads up, if I'm going through this a little fast, if there's things you're confused on, you can get those questions answered later on in our session today. So let's get started. Here we are on the website, and you're going to see a lot of things come up here. It can be a little overwhelming at first, but if you scroll down a bit, you're going to see the agency, so the EPA, which is good. That's what we're looking for. You're going to see a brief summary of the rule that they are proposing. And this is really helpful if you don't really know a lot about the rule that they're proposing, or if you just want a little more information. So I definitely recommend you read it before making your comment, especially if you're a little, on the edge about making a comment, or maybe you don't know a ton about it. You're also going to see below that the dates, and this is very important. The comments do not have, an unlimited timeline in which you can submit a comment to the rule. So it's really important that you check when their deadline is. So for this rule specifically, it's July 5th of 2023. But of course, this differs for every rule. So you got to make sure to keep on it to make sure that your voice can be heard. And then the next thing I want to show you on this page is actually this gray bar here. And it's really helpful because it's kind of just like a condensed version of all the important information you need. So you have the PDF version, which you can click on here if you want to download this in a PDF, this document. You can also, kind of see the dates in a condensed version here. And then you can also see the docket number. And this is a really important part, and I'm going to highlight it right here. The docket number will essentially help you identify this specific rule. And this is going to be really critical when we're looking at different methods of submitting a comment, because you're going to submit a comment on this specific rule when you use that agency/docket number. If you're not using that, there's no way to identify the rule that you're specifically commenting on. So just keep that in mind. So let's go back up and start to learn how to make a comment. And this first way is get my preference. It's what I think is easiest, but there's also a bunch of other ways if this isn't your favorite. So hold tight. At the top here on the right, you're going to see this green Submit a Formal Comment button here. And as long as you're using, or you're on the page of a rule that is open for comment, and, it's actually the page, it's not an informational page, it's a page that, you can actually submit a comment. And like I said, we'll give you the link to that. You should see this button here. And once you click it, it will create this drop down for you. And you can see, you're able to submit kind of, a typed version of your comment. So I put this rule should be passed. I hope yours is a little more in depth than that. And what's great is you can also, copy and paste. Let's say you type everything out in a Word doc or a Google Doc ahead of time. You can copy that and paste it into this box here, which is really helpful. So once you get your comment uploaded into this box, what you'll want to do is you can see there's an upload files section here. This is not something you have to do. You can just leave it alone if you don't have any files you want to upload. But let's say maybe you submit a personal story and you have some photos to go along with that, or maybe you reference a lot of research that you want them to have on hand. You can upload those things here. After that, you will want to add your email. It's important to note that they're not going to be posted anywhere. They're not going to be shared. It's just a matter of the agency wants to keep track of who's making a comment, and they're going to do that. And I think it's really helpful because if you look down here and you check this box, you can opt in to receive email confirmation of the submission. So it will send you an email letting you know that you did in fact submit your comment, but it'll also give you a tracking number, which is great because then you can see, where your comment is, the process, has it been read? So I think it's a really great thing to check off. And then you can tell the EPA a little bit about yourself, and they'd like you to say if you're an individual, an organization, or anonymous. So I think the ones that we will mainly use here today is an individual or anonymous. The only time I would say you really check off an organization is if you are representing an organization. And I think most of us today will be an individual or anonymous. So let's go to individual. And if you check that, you're going to see this drop down. It's going to ask you a first and last name, as well as some other information down here. But the only things that are required are the first and last name. So once you fill that out, you are more than welcome to come down here and check this box that says you read and understood the statement above. And once you do all that and have all that information filled out, you should be able to hit this button right here that says submit a comment. You can also come over here and click preview comment. That will show you what your comment kind of looks like if you want to go through, and make some revisions, look it over. So that's a really good tool to have. But if you don't feel comfortable sharing all this information, that's okay. You can go and click anonymous, and you'll be filing anonymously. And all you have to do is just click this here, and then bam, that button pops up and you can click it. You could also still preview your comment if you would like. But other than that, that is the first method on how to make a comment. And it's not too challenging. I hope y'all are staying along with me, because now we're going to go to way number 2, which is going to regulations.gov. So before we get into that, we're going to scroll down a bit on the Federal Register web page that we were on before, where the rule is, and we're going to just scroll down past the summary, past the dates that we looked at before, and we're going to go to addresses. And in this addresses section, it provides a few different ways that you can submit comments, along with just submitting them through the submit a comment feature on the web page itself. So the very first one we're going to look at is regulations.gov. And it's essentially a federal e-rulemaking portal. And if you want to make your comment there, what you can do is you can click this link, or you can copy and paste it into your browser, or you can just type in your search regulations.gov. And when you do that, you should get a page that looks like this. And once you do that, what you'll want to do is you'll want to bring back that important docket number that I told you about earlier, and you're going to want to copy and paste that into this search bar here. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to go back over here to where our docket number is on this side, and I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to go back to regulations.gov, and I'm going to paste it. All right, and then we're going to hit search. All right, and you're going to see a few things come up here, and that can be a little overwhelming at first. There's 3 things, so it's kind of a little stressful, which one should I open, which one is the right one? And what you'll see is you're going to see a title that's exactly the same as before on, this is kind of the multi-pollutant emission standards. That kind of rings a bell. So you'll know it's the correct document, but there's also, supporting and related material, which is just helpful to know more about the rule itself. But what we want to go to is we want to go to the actual proposed rule. So you'll see this little check mark here. It's blue and it has a PR, whereas the rest of these have SR and it's gray, and this little sheet in the corner here. So those are great documents to look over if you want more information on the rule, and that's why they're listed when you look up the docket number. However, that's not where you can actually make your comment. Where you can actually make it is on the proposed rule itself, and you'll see, like I said before, that it is the proposed rule based on this blue indication, and it says PR. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on that. And here it takes us to the next screen. And you'll see here, this is another kind of busy screen. There's a lot going on. Here you could see other comments, you posted comments, view related comments. You could also view more documents that are kind of associated with this rule. But of course, And you can browse that all on your own time, but right now we're going to work on the comment. So you will see, hopefully, in this top left corner, the comment button, and you're just going to want to click that. And once you do, it should take you to a screen like this. And it is quite literally just about the exact same as what we just did. So you're going to want to type your comment here. You could copy and paste that. It does have a character limit, and you can also attach files, but you don't have to do that. That's not required. Same thing as before. They're going to want your email address. Don't worry though. It can be helpful in the end because it can provide you that tracking number, that confirmation of submission. So personally, I like it. They also want to know about who you are. Most of us would probably say we're an individual. And if you don't feel like giving any information about yourself, you can always say you're anonymous. After you have done that, they just want to make sure you're not a robot. So you're going to have to go through that. But I'm sure we've all run into that before. And after all of that is over, you should be able to submit your comment by clicking this button here. It's quite literally what we did before, just about copied and pasted. So it's not too tricky if you've understood what we talked about before, but I could also see, if you have questions, make sure you save them for the end. So method 2, quick and done. It's just the same process as before, just on regulations.gov. You can do whatever you prefer. If you want to make your comment through this website, go for it. If you want to make it through the Federal Registrar website, go for it. Both are just as effective. So now let's get into method 3. And we're going to go back, taking us back to the Federal Registrar page. And if we go down back to the addresses section, you will see email. And this is method 3. You can just email your comment to the EPA. And if you want to do that, you're going to use the email listed here. That's a-n-r-docket at epa.gov. And with this, it's just really important that you make sure you indicate that docket number. And I actually give it to you here, which is quite helpful. So what you have to do is copy and paste this in the subject line. Like I said before, it's really important to note that so that they know what you're talking about. They want to make sure that you know, that they know what specific rule you want to address your comment towards. So please be sure to include that docket number. After that, you're going to want to just write your comment out in that email and send it off. Unfortunately with this, you don't necessarily get the option of the tracking features. So it is a great way to submit a comment if you want to submit it this way. But it's also just as effective as the comment portal submission on this website or on regulations.gov. Lastly, method 4. Actual physical mail. And if you want to do this, you're more than welcome. You just have to mail it to this address listed here, and you'll be able to copy and paste this if you want to keep it for your own records. But you'll want to send it to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, specifically the EPA Docket Center. They handle all of these letters that they get in. And then you want to just make sure you note that it's OAR, which is just the specific kind of place that this rule needs to get sent to, the specific types of policy that it's related to. And then after that, you want to make sure you include the docket number and then their mail code. And then after all of that, the address. And it's provided here. All of this is provided right on that Federal Registrar website that we will be sure to give you. So if you decide to do mail, you're more than welcome. It's, like I said before, just as effective as an email or the federal email making portal. However, I will note you have to be very careful when it comes to physical mail, because if I were to submit physical mail by July 4th, I would be a little bit nervous about it getting there by July 5th for the comment deadline. And it's a little tricky at that point. So if you really want to submit, handwritten letter, like I said before, you're more than welcome to come check out this website, but make sure you do it a bit ahead of the deadline just to be sure you get your comment in. And there's also some other features on this website. So if you wanted to actually hand deliver your letter, they will give you instructions for that. So it's pretty helpful to know. And other than that, they will also give you some information on public hearings that are to come, which are very helpful if you want to attend. But with that, those are all 4 of the methods that we wanted to show you today. Hopefully you will be utilizing one of the 4 to make a comment and make your voice heard. So I hope you all have a great rest of your session, and I hope you all make a comment.